What's up guys, it's me Lego Paradise here, and today I'm going to show you my Lego version of Nick Ryan's Seaplane from Far Cry 5. I've been having a lot of fun playing through the latest Far Cry game, which includes a whole bunch of brand new unique vehicles such as this one, which is one of the very first flyable planes that you come across. So in the game, this seaplane is owned by Nick Ryan, and it is usually used as a crop duster. But during the events of Far Cry 5, it's been fitted with weapons to make it combat ready. And of course I've included all of these modifications and details in my Lego version. So if we compare it to the in-game version, I think I've done a really good job at recreating all of the details of the original design, especially with the colour scheme and the most important details that make up the shape and style of the plane. And if we move Nick Ryan out of the way, we can get a better look at the design. So we'll start by taking a look at the bottom and work our way up to the top of the seaplane. And you can see that since this is a seaplane, instead of the usual wheels, there are a pair of pontoons. So these act as floats that the plane can land on when it's landing or taking off from the water. And in my Lego build, these are actually quite complicated. You can see that these are made up of some tiles and some slope pieces just attached in the middle with a pair of these modified 1x1 plate pieces. Just basically to invert the studs and to get this all smooth all the way around look to the pontoons. I've also included a small red and black stripe, which is the same as the one on the fuselage. That's also quite an accurate detail. And so that the plane can steer, the driver can use the two rudders at the back of each float, and that's just to help the plane steer as it's driving or preparing to fly through the water. So you can see there just some simple 1x2 plates or tiles in light grey. And of course this plane can also land on a normal runway, so there's a pair of wheels attached to the front. They just stick out at the ends of the pontoons. And in the game version there's actually a second pair of wheels at the back, but they're actually hidden away underneath the pontoons, just in the middle. And since this is such a small build, I wanted to make it as minifigure scale as possible. I didn't have space to include the second wheels. But I think that still turned out really well, and I've included all of the most important details. So that as we move up, you can see that both of these pontoons are attached with a support structure. So this goes all the way up to the bottom of the cabin, and you can also see the main wing supports also attached using some ball joint pieces, and that's just a bar inside the Technic connectors for those ball joints. And they extend all the way up to the wings, and they actually provide quite a bit of structural support, not just on the real version, but also in my Lego version. They really help to hold these wings up in the air. So then, as we get towards the front of the engine, you can see I've included the minigun, and this is the usable weapon on this plane in the game, so that's quite an important detail, and that's just made out of a few simple Technic pieces and an upside down 1x1 brick with the stud on the side. And you can see that's rotated onto its side 90 degrees and clips nicely to the underside of the engine. So then the engine uses a custom built propeller. You can see that's made out of a few tooth pieces, and that spins around really nicely. I'm very happy with how I got that to work. And you can see that I've even included a small air intake that goes into the engine. There's not actually any detail inside the engine, but at least there's some detailing on the outside. So then the shape of the engine continues all the way up to the middle of the fuselage, and this is where the pilot sits along with the passenger, since I have included space for two minifigures in this plane, much like the in-game version where you can seat two people in co-op mode. And one detail which is also pretty cool, is I've used these small door pieces, so you can just open them up, and obviously you can't fit a minifigure through there, just by opening the doors. You do have to remove the roof, and I'll show you how that works in just a little bit. But I thought that's also pretty cool, and good how I've managed to include all of these details and working features in such a small area. And then as we get towards the back of the main body of the aeroplane, this just merges into the tail. You can see it goes down and then back up again for the actual tail wing itself, as well as the two smaller parts of the tail. They're all built out of some bricks, just using the sloped pieces. But either way, that works really well and is very, very accurate to the shape of the aircraft in the game. Since I did spend a lot of time getting the shaping and all of the proportions to match each other compared to the original design it's based on. And then as we get to the wings, you'll see that each of the wings has a whole array of rocket launchers. And these are another usable weapon that you have available as you're flying the plane. And also, just like in the game, I've only included 4 rockets, so 2 on each wing. So even though there's actually 5 launchers on each wing, all 3 of them are empty on either side, and that just varies it up a bit as well. So you can see what the empty version looks like next to the rocket launcher filled with the rocket. And I've just built the simple launching mechanism using a bunch of red rubber bands so they hold the missiles in place. And I've made the rockets themselves out of some classic LEGO space engine type pieces with the little rocket fin end pieces. And they work really well, and I think they're great proportions in relation to the rest of the wings and the seaplane. And another cool detail is, just like in the game, the bottom of the wings are mostly yellow except for the tips, which are black. And then of course all of the wings on the top are fully black. And another cool part is in the middle I've included a sunroof, and that's also very accurate to the original. That just allows a greater field of view as you're flying it. So now that you've seen all the details on the exterior of the plane, let's take a look at the interior. So the interior can be accessed by removing the wings, and these are actually attached just with a simple 1x4 plate at the back. And you can see that this is pretty simple to remove. It's just the wings need to be removed quite carefully, but they also come apart, and you can already see how this provides a much better view into the interior. And you also notice how the actual supports for the wings actually remain on the plane. But I don't think that's too bad, and that's also pretty cool how everything fits in together. So then, to actually place some minifigures inside, such as the pilot and the passenger, we can start by removing the front windscreen. If we angle one of the seats back, you'll notice that there's actually some space in the back for 2 minifigures. Just like in the co-op version of Far Cry 5, you can have 2 people in the same plane. But before you add the minifigures, you'll just notice there's a few little details, such as the dashboards and flight instruments just underneath the windscreen, and a small joystick to control the plane just in the middle of the pilot's seat. And we can also open the doors just to add some extra space before placing in the passengers. And the seats themselves, they're pretty simple. There's only really one proper seat for the pilot, and that's just a grey tile build. And that's just hinged, so you can hinge it forwards, and that makes it a whole lot easier to place the passenger minifigure. So it's still a little bit tricky, but it's nice and compact, and the minifigures do both fit in the plane at the same time. So you can see we can fold the seat forward once the first passenger is inside the seaplane, and I can just adjust that minifigure so he'll now fit in when even the windows have been added back on top. And then to get the pilot inside the plane, this is also a little bit of a tight fit, but we can just angle the seat forward and basically push this minifigure downwards into the plane itself. And it's good to have the right angle for the legs of the minifigure, but you'll see, there you go, he eventually fits inside the front seat of the plane. And then all that's left to do is just to rearrange this Nick Ryan minifigure's arms just so they fit also inside. And you can just bring that down and then bring the arms out on the sides. And the plane now fits 2 passengers, and we can reattach all of the extra bits on the outside, such as the front windscreen, and you'll see it's quite a tight fit. But overall, I am happy that I have managed to include as many details as I have done inside this small seaplane. So I hope you enjoyed a look at my LEGO version of Nick Ryan's Seaplane from Far Cry 5. And don't forget to check out my other Far Cry vehicles from the earlier games, and I'll leave a link to that video in the description. And of course, don't forget to give this video a like, comment and subscribe for more, and I'll be back next time with some more LEGO creations. Thanks for watching.